Hi YouTube. If you're watching these videos, you're obviously looking for some helpful hints or some helpful tips on either setting up a reef tank or improving your existing system. And what I've found is basically on YouTube there's a bunch of know-it-alls. And I mean, not to be a jerk about it, but it's pretty much the truth. You know, people who have had their reef tank running for a year or 18 months and they know everything there is to know about successful reef keeping. And so what they're gonna do now is start doing YouTube videos, and they're going to teach you how to run a successful reef tank like they have ran for a year or 18 months. And what I want you to do is look for their updates. Pay very close attention to their tanks and their livestock. Look at what fish are swimming around their tank. If you see big, beautiful, gorgeous high fin, sail fin tangs, purple tangs, and then in the next update, which was taken 2-3 months later, those fish are gone. Makes me wonder. I know I don't just pull a purple tang out of my 125-gallon reef tank full of rocks and go trade him to a friend. So some of the videos I'm talking about are people that are doing several videos on tips on building a successful reef tank. And you know, he's got a 3 or 4 inch sand bed, and talking in the videos of how the sand bed pretty much takes care of itself and takes care of the alkalinity and pH in his tank, and how it's so perfect. And he while he was doing the video, his tank was pretty. Everything looked to be happy. But on his update, all of his sailfin tangs, his 2 sailfin tangs and his purple tang was gone, and a couple of his SPS heads were off the top of the tank. Later update after that, he had a major nitrate problem and had an algae outbreak in his tank. And so he went and bought himself a big GFO reactor. And you are going to continue to watch him having problems because it's the deep sand bed. That deep sand bed is going to continue to give him problems until his whole tank crashes. And yet he's doing videos basically saying he's the reef tank master, you know, and while he obviously had 10 or 15 grand to throw at a beautiful system, you don't know everything, and you need to, I just implore you to watch hundreds of videos and videos of people who have had reef tanks for a long time, 10 years. This is a newer system here. It's been up and running for under a year, but I had 2 55-gallon reefs that were running for 6.5 years successfully, and it was just being harder to maintain. So I decided to break down one of the 55s, leave the other one up, and eventually broke down both of them, put them both into this 125. And I'm only running about 3/4 of an inch of sand bed. Some very successful reefers like Mike Paletta. If you watch his videos, you'll notice he has no substrate on the bottom of his tank. And what they'll do instead, they'll put their live rock right on the glass, and then they will run a deep sand bed in their refugium. Lang's method, miracle mud. That's what I run in my refugium. The Lang system seems to make all the fish and everything very, very happy. Sorry for the shaky camera work. It's just a cell phone camera. But great polyp extension on everything. Everything seems to be real happy. All of my, I have no livestock loss. I can't even remember the last time I lost a hermit crab. But don't count on these videos. And I know it's hard because when you see a beautiful reef tank, you think that person must know what they're doing in order to keep those corals alive. And those tanks will run beautifully, sometimes for 2 or 3 years before they have that major detrimental pH fall, the nitrate outbreak, everything, just a chain reaction of oh no's. So we will be documenting the recovery of this toadstool. I just picked this guy up, got him basically for free because he had dropped his whole top, was majorly pissed off and did not like the tank he was in. So I picked him up, I threw him in my tank, and we will watch some update videos on this guy's recovery. It will be fun. That is the worst shape I have ever seen a toadstool in. Flesh hanging off the top, dropped his whole top. There's a lobe there about ready to fall off. So we will watch this guy recover in my system. Some beautiful blue cloves. A new green money. Very happy. All the new growth tips on that bird's nest. This was also another cool buy. The guy sold it to me as a frog spawn. So I just said okay and bought it. But it is some sort of a reverse stem branching anchor, I believe. I know you guys have seen my pink gorgonian. This metal halide is not on yet. It'll come on here in a couple minutes. So you're kind of picking up some of the neon from the actinics up there. And this is one of the Duncans that I had mentioned in one of my other videos. It's a new addition to the tank. This is a Australian branching Duncan, and this is the form of Duncan with that kind of grows completely over its mass. It stays more like a flower pot, like a Avalipora or Goniopora, something more like that. But it is a Diconosemia. Just a different form of Duncan. Duncan corals are one of my favorites because they stay open 24 hours a day. They only close up when agitated. I'll also be doing updates on getting my clowns to host in the Catalophilia. Not sure if they're going to do it or not, so I placed it over by them, and hopefully they'll make it their home. So that's just the quick tank update. But yeah, take your advice. Watch videos. Watch some of Sanjay's videos. Watch some of Mike Paletta's videos. These are guys that are growing coral heads the size of basketballs from frags the size of your thumb, and they've been doing it for 20 years. And that's the information that you can take to the bank and guarantee that you won't have any major pitfalls with it. You know, something that works really well for me if you're having problems with stabilizing your pH is lime water additives. Virtually all of my makeup water is ran through a Kalkwasser reactor. So all of my fresh makeup water is lime water. I do have an alarm set up so that I can't overdose my system with Kalkwasser. If the pH goes above 8.36, it'll shut off my Kalkwasser reactor. That's usually not a problem. The tank kind of has stabilized and goes from like 8.1 in the morning, 8.0 in the morning to 8.25. 8.1 to 8.25 is about the the fluctuation I get. Peak light hours, the pH will be at its highest. So if you're having problems stabilizing your pH, try adding some Kalkwasser. I run a Kalkwasser reactor from Two Little Fishes. That tube you see there that's glowing is just fresh RO makeup water coming from this bucket of RO water. It feeds it up with the power head into the Kalkwasser reactor. Let's see, I'll trigger the auto top off so it kicks on for you. There's a loticule at the bottom, or a sprinkler head. You see the clear water at the top is your lime water, your saturated lime water. Your calcium hydroxide powder sits at the bottom. When the power head kicks on, it will start spinning and spinning that sprinkler head down there. And kicking on, stirring up the calcium hydroxide, making sure your fresh RO water is thoroughly saturated with calcium hydroxide, which will come through this tube and trickle in at a very slow rate into my sump until the top off switch is tripped, and then this will settle, the powder will settle back down until the next time the ATO is kicked on. This Kalkwasser reactor, I think I mentioned, is from Two Little Fishes, and they're fairly inexpensive. You can find them on YouTube for under $100, and it's you know, I do recommend running a controller system with it. That way you don't have, like, if for some reason your skimmer goes crazy and fills up your skimmer cup, and your auto top off stays on for a lot longer than it should have, it won't overdose your system with Kalkwasser and raise your pH to a dangerous level. So I definitely recommend running a controller system with that. So that will help control your pH. These are just a couple of helpful hints that you can take to the bank and have been long time proven to work. So I hope you get something out of each one of my videos. I know they're shaky, can be hard to watch, but I appreciate it.